So now y'all come into my kitchen. This is Cooking Today. Hi, welcome to Cooking Today. Glad you're here. Happy Wednesday. We are making something so good today. Tons of fresh vegetables and produce and goodness. There's this thing going around on social media called Meatless Monday. I don't know if you've seen it. It's got a hashtag. And so people make all kinds of meatless dishes. Well, it got me thinking because, you know, I am nowhere near a vegetarian, not anywhere near it. And I thought, well, what would be the most meatless thing I can make? Sweet potato tacos, okay? Now, let me go back a little bit. The closest thing to a meatless thing I could make, we're gonna put bacon on it. I know, it's meat. But just a little bit gives it some really good flavor. If you wanted to go 100% vegetarian on this dish, you absolutely could. But the bacon is so good. We're gonna roast sweet potatoes. So rather than having steak or chicken or carnitas, we're gonna roast sweet potatoes where they get a really good, like a char, that good kind of crispy on the outside and then tender on the inside, salty and so delicious. That is gonna serve as our meat in a really soft flour tortilla. Then we're gonna pile it on with spinach, cilantro, a little bit of bacon, and then we're gonna do, red onions. And then we're gonna do a little avocado crema at the end that's creamy and earthy and limey, and we're gonna add a little seasoning to it. So many good things, y'all. You are gonna have to try this one. It is really, really fun, and it's a really good healthy option for you because the sweet potatoes are so good for you. So I am getting my potatoes in the oven right away, and this is so easy. I have 3 sweet potatoes, and when I buy the sweet potatoes, I try to buy them kind of uniformly shaped. You know, sometimes they're really long and skinny, and sometimes they're kind of fatter. We're wanting this size disc. I don't know what that is, 1.5 inches, maybe a 2-inch disc. So I really go for the ones that are a little bit longer and kind of thinner. So we have these nice uniform shapes when we cook them, and then it kind of ensures that they, cook a little bit more evenly when they're on the sheet pan together. I have my oven set to 425, and these take about 25 minutes or so to cook. So here's what I do. I've peeled them, sliced them into, I don't know, about a 1/2 inch thick or so, and then I'm just laying them out on my sheet pan. And all we're gonna do is olive oil them and then bake them for about 15 minutes or so for the bottoms of them to get kind of crispy on the sheet pan. Then we're gonna flip them and let them continue to cook another 15 minutes. So they take about 25 or 30 minutes altogether. What we're going for is that good char. We want them to look roasted. So not just orange and cooked, but a little bit of good char on the top. They are delicious. You may not even use this many, but I always do 3 because these are so hard not to snack on when they come out of the oven, and they're really good for y'all. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm taking my oil, and I'm gonna just give them a drizzle, okay? And then I'm taking my salt, and I'm gonna go over the top. This is not a measurement. This is just salt and pepper. You know, sometimes you'll see recipes written, and they'll refer to salt and pepper, and they may refer to oil. A lot of times when people are writing recipes, salt and pepper and oil are considered, and sometimes butter, are considered staples in a kitchen. So sometimes it may not be up in the list of the ingredients. Like it might not say a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of pepper or a teaspoon of oil. It's supposed to be, it's implied that all good kitchens have salt, pepper, and oil, okay? So I have drizzled and salted the top. And now I'm gonna take my fingers and flip them over twice. Flip them and then flip them because we're wanting to get the oil on the bottom and on the top both, okay? So flip and flip, flip and flip all of these over to be sure that we're covered. Then we're going to do another little douse of salt. It's delicious on these, y'all. And then stick them in the oven. Okay, let me get my fingers clean. Now, for my Meatless Monday, I'm just kidding. It was just inspired by Meatless Monday. It's obviously not Meatless Monday by any stretch. We have 8 pieces of bacon. Oh, bacon. Y'all aren't surprised. If you've been around here, you know. Okay, ready? 3 sweet potatoes. Going in a 425-degree oven. Okay, and I'm going to set my timer so we don't lose it. 15 minutes. Okay. Then we're going to get our big flat spatula and turn those over and let them go another little bit so that they have that good crispy roast on the top and the bottom. Okie doke. I am going to start sauteing our bacon. We just cut our 8 pieces into bits. When we come back, we're going to keep on going. Roasted sweet potato tacos today. This is cooking today. Hi, welcome back to Cooking Today. We are making a really non-traditional taco today that you are sure to love. We are making roasted sweet potato tacos. Now listen, roasted sweet potatoes in the oven. We've got them at 425 in oil and salt, letting them get nice and crispy on the outside and still really good and tender on the inside, like an awesome sweet potato fry. Don't we love those? And that's going to kind of serve as our meat down inside of our flour tortilla. Then we're going to load it with bacon for crispy and salty, and then red onions chopped, and cilantro, and what else? Feta cheese, yummy feta. If you didn't want to use feta, you could use Monterey Jack. That's just fine. And then we're going to do an avocado crema, which is really just the easiest. You probably have this in your refrigerator. Avocados, which you need to get really nice, really, really ripe ones because we want them to mash almost where they're creamy. A lime, and this is about 1.5 tablespoons, 2 tablespoons of sour cream, which is the crema part, kind of makes it nice and smooth. And then we're just going to season it with just a little bit of cumin. This makes the best sauce. So, you know, there's like, if you've ever been to Fayetteville, there's a restaurant called Ham and Trees downtown, and they do sweet potato fries, which we get every time we go. They're delicious. And they serve it with a really yummy cream sauce. This is kind of like that. Kind of taking that and making a little taco out of it. It is just delicious. So I have my bacon sauteing in my skillet behind me, and it is, I already cut it up into little bits. I always find that for me, I'd rather chop it first and then saute the chopped pieces because it's easy to stir them around rather than having to make the big strips, because you know you can only get like 4 or 5 in a skillet at a time, and then you have to do it in batches. If you just go ahead and cut it first, you just saute all those little pieces in your skillet at once. It just seems to be quicker to me, rather than cooking the big pieces and then crumbling them later. My little tip. I do it on here all the time. Okay, so here are my avocados, really good and ripe. Pulled that pit right out. I'm going to check my bacon real quick. I can hear it. Okay, getting that stirred really well. Okay. Gonna let that keep going. I have my sweet potatoes on a timer. We have about 7 minutes or so before we need to flip them. So I've got my good ripe avocado, and I've got it just pulled out, pitted, and put in here, and I'm gonna just give it a little mash. Now you really do want this to be pretty creamy. Like when I make my own, you know, homemade guacamole at my house, I prefer for that to actually have a little bit of chunk to it, like a little creamy with a little chunks left. And on this one, I really want it to be smooth. So we're going to go ahead and mash it with my fork first, just to be sure I've got all the pieces out. Smells good. Just to smell the avocado in front of me and that bacon getting crisp and that little bit of sweet coming out of the oven. Smells delicious. Okay, now I've got the juice of 1 lime that I am going to just squeeze. Again, not a real measurement. You don't have to get all worried about it being a teaspoon, tablespoon, or anything like that. And then I'm going to put in my sour cream to make it creamy. And then, of course, you're going to want to salt and pepper this. And that's a little bit to taste, but you can do it. I like to add in a little bit of cumin, or just a little bit of warmth, you know, and just that little kind of bit of taco seasoning flavor. So I'm going to do about 1/2 teaspoon or so. And if you taste this at the end and decide that you really like that flavor and you want to add more, add more. Okay, 2 avocados, couple of tablespoons of sour cream, the juice of a lime. Oh my gosh, my mouth just watered. The way that smells. The juice of a lime, a little bit of cumin, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and then we're just going to let it camp out for just a few minutes and let the flavors kind of develop while I check on my bacon and then flip my sweet potatoes, of course. Good. Oh, it's so good. So good. Okay, now what I have here, y'all have seen this before. When I do my bacon, I always have a sheet pan lined with a paper towel waiting in the wings, right? Because now that my bacon is actually finished, I'm going to use my slotted fish turner. One of my favorite utensils in the world, y'all. You use it for so many things. They call it fish turner, but don't let that fool you. It is so good for so many things. And I'm just going to drain this on a paper towel. And then when we come back, we're going to flip our sweet potatoes and then start working on some of our garnish for these delicious, healthy roasted sweet potato tacos. Come back. This is Cooking Today. Hi, welcome back to Cooking Today. We are making roasted sweet potato tacos today. Yes, I said roasted sweet potato tacos if you're just joining us. We are roasting sweet potato discs in olive and salt. They should be coming out in just a minute. We're gonna flip them so they get good color on both sides. We have crisped our bacon, which, you know, I have to swat hands and tell everybody stay out of it because it smells so good. And that is our salty, crispy little bit. If you wanted to make this ultra vegetarian with no meat at all, you could absolutely just cut out the bacon. I would be sad. I would be so sad for you though, because it's awful good. All right. Then we've made our avocado crema. And all this was 2 avocados, a little bit of sour cream, juice from a lime, salt, pepper, and just a dash of cumin. And then we've stirred it up so it's nice and smooth. You remember how I said it needed to be really nice and smooth? I'm going to get our sweet potatoes out and then we'll flip them. We cooked them. Oh, they're sizzling. We cooked them for 15 minutes on one side. And now, let's see. I'm going to go this way with it. Switch hands. Oh, yeah. See, they're starting to get nice in color on the bottom. Like the color is going from kind of a peachy light orange to a really nice darker orange. So now we're going to let them go until this side is really, really pretty and roasted and yummy. Oh, they're so good. And if you do not eat all of these, you can actually let them cool completely down. And then you could just bag them or refrigerate them and just snack on them, y'all. Even room temperature, they are delicious. We have made, gosh, I don't remember what we did early on in this program. We did sweet potato fries with a yummy dipping sauce. Can you see these? I hope y'all can see these. How the color on the bottom is so pretty and rich. Okay, down to my last 2. Okie doke. I'm going to give them one more little sprinkle of salt. Okay? All the way around. Ew, I was tempted to put cumin on it. It just kind of almost happened. But then you can do it if you want. But it might be really, really good. Okie doke. Those are going in. We're gonna set our timer. I'm gonna check them at about 10 minutes just to see what they look like. But again, we want them to almost look like they're starting to blister a little bit, like roasted, okay? Now, all the good stuff. We have spinach right here, baby spinach. And this is just out of the bag. And what I've done is put it in this little bowl, but my family and I, we don't just love this stem on it, especially in these tacos. If I were eating this in a salad, those wouldn't bother me a bit. But they're a little bit chewy. You know, you're trying to take a bite and you get the stem and you're pulling it up. It kind of pulls your taco apart. So I spend just a few minutes pulling the longest parts of those stems off. Does that make sense? That makes sense, doesn't it? Because there's nothing sadder than taking a bite of a taco and trying to pull a bite off that has, you know, all the good bits in it. And then you pull and stuff starts to fall out and it's a mess. We want to be able to eat it in our hands. Now, I have got our feta cheese, and I have a red onion. And I'm just going to do about half of a red onion, and we're just going to chop it. And I don't know if I have ever shown y'all or officially dictated how you're supposed to chop an onion, and I'll show you right now because we're doing it. So you cut it from end to end. You know, you've got the end that has the hair on it. This is the root end, okay? And so you cut it from end to end, and then you leave the hair on. You don't cut this end off, okay? You cut the other end off, see? Okay, tracking with me? We left the two ends with the hair on. Then, so what it does when you keep that end on, a lot of people will cut both of the ends of their tacos off. Or tacos, not your tacos, your onions. Don't cut the ends of your tacos off. Most people will cut that off, and then you just have kind of just the round. If you keep the root end intact, it holds all of your onion layers together so you're not chasing them all around on your cutting board. Does that make sense? So then what I do, you know, you've got this piece on the outside that's kind of tough and you don't want to eat that. I peel it back and I don't pull it all the way off. Then take your knife and you want to make cuts like this, okay? First. Then take your knife, if you're kind of feeling fancy, watch your fingers, and you want to make a horizontal slice right through the center, okay? So we've kept our root end intact, peeled off the outside, made our little vertical slices, one horizontal cut, and then ready for this? It's all pre-done for you. Chopped. Chopped. Isn't that so great? Chopped. And then I go all the way to the root. And then you don't have to chase those all over your cutting board. They're done for you. Look at that. Chopped red onions. We are going to check our sweet potatoes. When we come back, it's all going to come together. This is cooking today. Welcome back. We are wrapping up roasted sweet potato tacos. Look at all this great stuff. Doesn't it look fresh and really good? And the nice thing is sweet potatoes cook in no time. They're available year round, and they're just so good for you. All we did was roast these sweet potato rounds. Look how good they got. Remember I told you that you get just the littlest bit of color, and some of them look a little blistered and delicious. So we've roasted our sweet potatoes, and I'm going to fill one side of my taco with roasted sweet potatoes. It serves in place of the main meat, okay? Let's see if I can switch hands and do it this direction. Then we made that yummy avocado crema that is smooth and earthy, and it's a little limey. Remember, we added a little bit of cumin in there that tastes so good, has a little nod to like Mexican food or Mexican seasoning. Ta-da! Then I'm doing a little bit of the spinach on there, not a ton, just enough so that it's pretty and it's one more little layer of healthy and you get that cool crisp. And our bacon, because we love it. And then finally, y'all, all we're gonna do, a little purple onion right down the sides. Load it on, y'all. The purple onion is so good. Stings your nose when all this is so earthy and good. And then feta, and that's it. Is this a beautiful taco or what? I'm gonna assemble a whole plate full of these. I hope, oh my goodness, so good, that you will try this at home and love every bite. This is Cooking Today.